The wind hissed through moonlit branches, each leaf trembling with secrets long kept. Corin crouched at the edge of the forbidden grove, his breath clouding in the chill midnight air. The other herbalists warned him about this place. Some claimed the woods stole your memories. Others whispered that ancient eyes watched from the shadows. But Corin's mother still needed the moonbane root to break her fever, and none dared venture here except him. He stepped across the old border, heart beating like a drum. The scent of moss and earth swallowed him whole. Only the soft crunch of his boots marked the silence. He pushed deeper, eyes searching below silver-lit ferns. Then a song, not a melody, but a thrumming sweet and sad, tugged him off the path. It pulled him beneath a cluster of willows, their arms draped low, shivering in anticipation. There in the earth's gentle hollow rested a crown woven from living willow branches. Dew shimmered on its curves. Corin reached out, compelled by curiosity stronger than fear. The moment his fingers brushed the wood, wind howled through the grove. Shadows uncoiled from roots and danced in the air. Dozens of ghostly shapes, faces hollowed by sorrow and rage. Who awakens us? The voice was everywhere and nowhere, rustling through every leaf. Corin staggered back, panic burning in his chest. I didn't mean to. The largest spirit, her face like carved bark, regarded him with cold eyes. The Willow Crown is not for mortal hands. He shook, barely able to speak. My mother's dying. I just need. A life for a life, the spirits whispered in unison. You have unbalanced the cycle. Before Corin could bolt, a flurry of silver leaves shot upward. Suddenly, a battered knight, rusted chain, one hand clamped over a fresh wound, barreled into the grove, sword drawn. Let him go! The knight roared, cheap armor clanking. His eyes flashed determined blue. Even as his hands shook, the spirits recoiled. For a heartbeat, the wind stilled and the whispers softened. A smaller, giggling voice, a sound like wind bells, stirred around Corin's ears. Ooh, mortals and their shiny toys! Shall we play a game, Willow Queen? Corin blinked, dizzy. The underdog now had an unlikely defender, and another, unseen ally taunted from the shadows. The ancient guardians circled tighter, and the air grew thick with promise and dread. Give back the Willow Crown! The bark-faced spirit commanded, branches arching menacingly. Corin clutched it to his chest. The knight stepped between him and the spirits, battered blade raised. The whispering grew into a storm. The fate of both realms now twisted around Corin's trembling hands. The circle of spirits pulsed, their eyes flickering like lanterns in a storm. Corin struggled to keep his grip on the Willow Crown as thorny roots curled hungrily at his feet. The battered knight never broke his stance, sword wobbling only slightly as he surveyed the ghostly host. The bark-faced spirit stepped forward. You meddle in matters you cannot mend, knight. Stand down, the knight replied, voice gravel thick. The boy did not know. He meant no harm. The spirit's gaze cut back to Corin, sharp as a wolf's tooth. Ignorance is no shield from destiny. The Willow Crown is a promise made and broken. Suddenly, laughter like chimes on the breeze shattered the tension. Something unseen zipped around Corin and the knight, displacing petals. Oh, how dramatic! I love a contest with stakes. Should we test their mettle, dear queen? The bark-faced spirit scowled, her hollow eyes narrowing. Your mischief is ill-timed, windling. A shimmer at Corin's ear solidified into a wild, grinning sprite. Hair swirling with gusts, eyes bright as dawn, she stuck out her tongue. Everything's a game if you turn it right. Corin swallowed, struggling to find his voice. Please, I only want to help my mother. If I return the crown, will you let us go? The queen's branches drooped, regret flickering in her expression. To return the crown is not enough. The balance falters. The iron kingdoms poison our roots. Your touch has awoken more than just spirits. The ground beneath Corin's feet quivered. We didn't mean for any of... Suddenly, a distant crash tore through the tension. Steel meeting wood. Torchlight flickered beyond the willows. A patrol from the nearest kingdom, their banners bearing the mark of a red boar searching for something or someone. The knight tensed. They're after me. We have to move now. The windling circled Corin, tugging at his sleeve. You've got two choices, Leaf Boy. Stay here and be caught by ghosts, or run and dance with living wolves. Corin risked a glance at the spirits, now restless, growing fainter, as if the oncoming soldiers chilled even their haunted air. He gripped the crown, steeled his resolve, and nodded to the knight. Lead the way. The knight gave a grim smile. Stay close. The trio sprinted through gnarled roots and shadows, the patrol's shouts growing louder behind. Windling laughter echoed in Corin's ear, brittle but encouraging. Now we're in the thick of it! As they crashed through fern and bramble, Corin realized he'd crossed more than a border. He was now running from both the living and the dead. And with every step, the Willow Crown throbbed in his hands, seeping whispers into his mind. Restore the balance, or all will wither. In the dying light, Sylvania's ancient woods seemed to close in, branches hungry for blood and secrets, while the iron-wrought kingdoms pressed closer, their greed as sharp as their blades. With the cursed crown held to his chest and the echo of shouts behind, Corin followed the battered knight, whose name, Corin realized, he still didn't know, through a labyrinth of thorny undergrowth. Above them, branches writhed, filtering moonlight into frantic patches on the mossy ground. The windling flitted circles around them, sometimes invisible, sometimes little more than a swirling blur. The knight grabbed Corin by the shoulder, pulling him down behind a fallen log. Quiet now, he whispered. The Red Boar Patrol's footsteps crackled close, steel boots, voices gruff and urgent. Did you see them? Barked a soldier. There's tracks here, and that witch's glow over yonder. Watch the trees, warned another. Strange tales in these woods. The patrol passed, fading into the distance as the windling made faces behind them, then nearly lost it to a fit of giggles. Corin let out a trembling sigh. The knight's voice broke the quiet. Names are important in the deep woods. I'm Sir Roan, and you? Corin, he replied, brushing leaves from his tangled hair. Thanks for not letting the spirits eat me. Sir Roan gave a lopsided grin, his fatigue obvious now that the danger had passed. Don't thank me yet, spirits or soldiers. Neither has much mercy, but together maybe we stand a chance. The windling perched on the log, legs swinging in the moonlight. If you're going to keep running for your lives, you'll need a guide. Call me Zephyra, keeper of shortcuts, snatcher of secrets, friend of those who respect the wind. Corin couldn't help but smile despite the fear humming in his veins. All right, Zephyra, can you get us out of the woods before the spirits or the soldiers find us again? She winked, with both feet tied and blindfolded. But the real question, Leaf Boy, what will you do with that crown? It doesn't want to stay quiet. Corin glanced down. Even now, the crown glimmered with a green-gold light, and the whispers grew sharper, words crawling into his mind. Seek the elder tree. Balance is broken. Restore the heart. A chill darted up his spine. He realized he was no longer just an herbalist searching for a cure. He was a pawn in something far older and darker. Sir Roan watched him closely. You heard them, didn't you? The crown speaks. I've seen the old curses at work. Always starts with a whisper. We best get moving. The elder tree is at Sylvania's heart. Dangerous ground, but it may be our only hope. Corin nodded, determination sparking. If there's a way to fix this, I'll do it. For my mother, for the woods, for all of us. Zephyra spun in a swirl of wind pointing east. Follow me. The wind remembers every trail. Just keep your courage and don't listen too closely to the voices. They want more than a promise, boy. They want a sacrifice. With quickened steps, they plunged deeper into the ancient wild, where the trees grew older and the air thickened with power and dread. The iron-wrought kingdom still threatened from behind, and now ahead, mysteries deeper and more dangerous than Corin had ever imagined. The woods changed as they followed Zephyra's madcap trail. Trees rose taller, their trunks twisted into harrowed shapes. The air shimmered with soft lights, will-o'-the-wisps watching, rumor said, for trespassers foolish enough to stray. Even Sir Roan looked uneasy, glancing often at the shadows between the trunks. Zephyra darted ahead, giggling, sometimes dissolving into breeze, then reappearing perched on branches or riding swirls of flower petals. Almost there! I can taste the elder tree's roots on the wind. But beware, old guardians awake when mortals come near. Corin pushed on, one step after the next, clutching the crown though it prickled his skin. The whispers grew louder. The wound festers. The balance cracks. Turn back, mortal, or become root and bone. He gritted his teeth and sped up. Suddenly Sir Roan raised a clenched fist. They froze. In the hush, a faint trickling sound, a distant stream? No, larger. The trees opened up before them, revealing a marshy clearing ringed by ancient standing stones, each stone carved with runes that pulsed green in the fog. Something slithered amid the stones, a guardian. Its form was uncertain, shifting between serpent, wolf, and woman, Moss hung from antlers that branched from its skull, and its voice was the roar of distant rivers. "Who bears the Willow Crown?" Corin gulped, feeling the crown almost burn in his grasp. "I do. I only wish to heal." The guardian's shape roiled with anger and sorrow. Shadows flickered in her eyes. "Mortals always wish. Wishes built this wound. The Iron Kingdoms gnaw at our roots, yet your kind claims to love the healer's path. Will you prove it?" Sir Roan stepped protectively in front of Corin. "He's braver than most, and honest too. Let him speak, or pass judgment on us both." The guardian's gaze slid to Roan. "Knight without a lord, exiled. Why stand for a boy who is nothing to you?" Roan's jaw tensed. "Because I once failed to defend what mattered. This time I'll do better." Zephyra floated lazily overhead. "I like these odds. Give them a chance, Green Lady." The guardian circled, then dipped her antlered head. "Proof is blood and root. Touch your hand to the stones, Corin. Show your heart's truth." Corin hesitated, then knelt and pressed his palm to the nearest rune. Pain flared up his arm, but he forced himself to focus on his purpose, saving his mother, saving the forest. The runes flared and visions blazed in his mind. Trees burning under iron axes, rivers choked with smoke, and an ancient bargain. One king's greed for immortality, a curse that poisoned both wood and flesh. Gasping, Corin tore his hand back. The guardian watched with a new softness, voice deep and sad. "You have seen. To heal the land, you must reach the elder tree's heart, but every step will test you, and the curse will not yield without payment. Know this, the iron-wrought kingdoms are coming, and you do not have much time." Sir Roan put a steadying hand on Corin's shoulder. "We're with you." Zephyra spun, rattling the branches. "Let's move, Leaf Boy. The wind tells me iron men march, and they bring fire." With new resolve and warning burning fresh in his mind, Corin, Roan, and Zephyra set off deeper into the ancient, unpredictable heart of Sylvania. Behind them, the marsh guardian faded, another silent watcher of what would come. They pressed on into the tangled heart of Sylvania, the air thick with tension. Every step Corin took with the Willow Crown felt heavier, as if roots were winding around his ankles, daring him to fail. Sir Roan limped but didn't complain, his face marked with old scars and fresh resolve. Zephyra zipped ahead, scattering petals and muttering warnings on the wind. Fog crept low, muffling their footsteps. Strange figures peered from behind trunks, silent, too elongated to be human. Corin tried not to look, remembering the guardian's warning. The forest itself seemed to examine them, deciding if they were friend or foe. "Almost there," Zephyra whispered, her form flickering in and out of sight. "I can feel the elder tree's breath, old as mountains, stubborn as stone." A sound echoed, metallic clang. Roan spun, sword halfway drawn. "The patrol's closing in. We'll have to hurry." They broke through a brambly thicket and emerged into a peculiar clearing. The ground sloped steeply down toward an immense gnarled tree, its trunk so wide and twisted it seemed woven from 1,000 smaller trees, the boughs streaming with silvery leaves. The elder tree. But a band of ironclad soldiers blocked their path, torches spitting sparks. Their armor gleamed, their faces masked by wicked helms stamped with the red boar. A gruff captain called out, "That's far enough, forest thieves!" Roan pushed Corin behind him. "Blade up. We don't want violence." The captain sneered. "You trespass in the realm's domain. That boy carries stolen property. Hand over the crown and perhaps we'll spare your lives." The Willow Crown began to thrum, the whispers loud and desperate, twisting around Corin's thoughts. "Defend the tree. Restore the pact. Beware the iron blood." Zephyra zipped up to Corin's ear, her voice deadly serious. "They'll burn the elder tree to spite you, boy. The crown wants you to fight. Use its power, but choose carefully. Power always costs." Corin felt the magic burning in his palms, wild and unfamiliar. For a moment, he considered surrender. But Roan's stance, battered yet unyielding, gave him courage. "We're not giving up the crown or the woods." The captain raised his blade. "Then you'll die with your secrets." The soldiers charged. Corin squeezed the crown, feeling roots unfurl and energy surge from the ancient wood. He thrust his hand forward, and the earth responded. Vines burst from the soil, wrapping around armored legs and ripping torches from soldiers' hands. The woods came alive, leaves swirling in a protective storm. Zephyra whooped with glee, darting into attackers' faces, upending helms and tripping those who dared chase her. Roan moved like a battered hawk, blocking blows meant for Corin. "Steady, boy. Don't let the crown do all the thinking. Corin focused, forcing the storm to ebb. He watched in awe as the forest itself turned on their iron-clad foes, sending them fleeing in terror, leaving only the unconscious or the stubborn, who quickly found themselves snared. When the last soldier ran, Roan dropped to one knee, panting. Zephyra reappeared on Corin's shoulder, pressing a cool whisper to his ear. Well done, Leaf Boy, but the loud part is yet to come. The land and its curse are watching. Corin knelt at the tree's roots, breath shallow, the crown whispering secrets and sorrow in equal measure. The path to the heart of the elder tree stood open, but every power awakened drew more eyes, both mortal and fey, to their small, desperate company. Roots parted, revealing a low archway in the elder tree's trunk. The hollow beyond glimmered with a spidery green light. Corin's heart thudded wildly as he led the group inside, the Willow Crown humming with anticipation. Zephyra swooped around his shoulders, suddenly subdued. Sir Roan limped closely behind, clutching his bloodied side. Inside, all sounds softened, the air velvet thick, tinged with sap and ancient memory. The walls glowed with runes, pulsing gently like a beating heart. As they walked further in, the whispers from the Willow Crown sharpened into distinct voices. Sad, hopeful, and angry all at once. Restore what was stolen, heal the wound, or suffer the withering. Corin's steps faltered when the air shifted and 3 figures materialized before them. Each flickered between wood and flesh, tribal elders as old as legend. Their eyes were the cool emerald of undisturbed forest pools. The tallest spoke, voice echoing like wind through hollow logs. The heart of the wood is dying, boy. The pact was broken by greed and steel. You wear the crown. Will you mend what your kind has shattered? Corin swallowed. If I can, tell me how. A second elder spoke, her hand translucent as a willow leaf. Our roots were poisoned when men sought immortality. Only a pure vow sealed with sacrifice can restore the cycle. Sir Roan's hand tightened at his hilt. You ask a lot of a boy. Zephyra hovered close, whispering, almost the end of your thread, Leaf Boy. But new threads can be woven. Choose wisely. Corin felt the truth of the words settle in his bones. To heal the woods would take more than magic. It would need something from the heart. Yet behind him, Roan gritted his teeth, and Corin saw the strain of wounds and age. The night had risked everything to bring them here. Before Corin could answer, the tree trembled, and a wailing wind swept through its core. Outside, shrieks echoed. The iron soldiers had returned, this time with fire and axes, torchlight spilling through cracks in the wood. Roan turned to Corin, voice urgent. You decide. Help the tree now and risk being overrun, or escape and give up what hope we have left. Zephyra darted between them, eyes unusually serious. No easy path, Corin. The woods must live, so must you. But sometimes to restore, something must be given up. The council faded, their last message ringing like a bell. Balance must be paid. You hold the scales. Corin stood in the center of the living heart, crown glowing, night and wind spirit waiting for his call. The enemy closed in. Time and hope were twisting together, pulling him toward an impossible choice. The elder tree's hollow pulsed with dread as Corin weighed the council's words. Faint shouts crackled through the bark, iron soldiers chopping at roots, firelight flickering along the entryway. Zephyra's usually playful face was grave. Sir Roan pressed a hand to his wounded side, blood staining his tunic. Both watched Corin, hoping for an answer. Corin stared down at the Willow Crown. Its light seemed to throb with the heartbeat of the forest, the whispers now sharp as thorns. Mend the pact. Choose the offering. Life for life, root for root. I have to give something up, Corin said, voice thick with fear but also clarity. But I don't know if I can. Roan clapped a hand to Corin's shoulder, firm despite his pain. Every knight knows this road. You're braver than you think. I walked away from sacrifice once. Don't make my mistake. Zephyra hovered, her translucent eyes softening. You can't outrun the wind or destiny, Leaf Boy, but you can bend them around your will. There's always a third way if you look close enough. Just then the tree shuddered. Splinters flew as axes bit, smoke curling through the entrance. Within moments the soldiers would be inside. Desperation gripped Corin. He focused on the Willow Crown, heart pounding, and whispered, If I offer myself, will the woods be saved? The council's voices shimmered in answer, neither approval nor denial. Just possibility. To give freely is to change the story. But all choices echo forever. Roan coughed, struggling to his feet. Corin, this fight started before you. No one expects you to pay everything. But Corin looked at both of them, his unlikely friends, forged in fear and hope, and straightened his shoulders. No, if there's a way to save everyone, even the men outside, I'll find it. The woods are old, but maybe their stories can change. Zephyra brightened, twirling in the rising currents within the heart of the tree. Clever boy, speak with the elder roots, ask them for a new pact, wind and leaf together. I'll help carry your promise. Down below, where unseen roots touched old magic, the willow branches began to part, opening a hidden hollow. The light grew fierce, blinding. Corin stepped forward, Roan at his side, Zephyra perched on his shoulder. He knelt in the heart of the roots, held up the willow crown, and declared in a ringing voice, I offer you my hope, my future, whatever is needed that the woods and the world might heal. But let the new pact be shared. No more one life given or taken. Let the strength of many stand against the poison of few. The earth trembled. Green gold fire raced through ancient veins. Outside, shouts faltered as roots erupted from the ground, gently yet irresistibly binding the soldiers and quenching their torches. In the hollow, faces flickered, old spirits joining hands with something new, a union forged by sacrifice, but not by death alone. Corin felt a burden lift, replaced by a wild living strength. The stories could change, and so could he. But even as balance began to mend, pain stabbed deep. This kind of change would come with a cost. And Corin was certain the true price would reveal itself before the end. The elder tree's hollow glowed brighter, casting green gold light over everything. Corin braced himself, energy rippling through his limbs as the pact's new magic took hold. Old wounds in bark and heart began to mend, not in one violent burst, but in a steady wave, a hope reborn, shared through countless roots and branches. Outside, the soldiers were trapped in a gentle maze of vines, their swords and torches plucked away by living roots. Their captain shouted, but the forest muffled every threat, leaving only a hush like the fallout after a storm. Zephyra hovered before Corin, her usual mischievous grin replaced by awe. You did it, Leaf Boy. The woods are listening and the winds never felt clearer. But there's something shifting underneath. The curse twists if you leave it unattended. Sir Roan sagged with relief, but blood still seeped through his tunic. Corin rushed to his side, hands trembling. You still need help? Here, let me try. He called the Willow Crown's warmth into his palms, pressing them gently against Roan's wound. Magic pulsed slower and gentler than before, but Roan gasped as the pain receded. The knight's eyes widened. It's working, Corin, you're changing. Corin drew back, startled. The veins beneath his skin glowed faintly green. He felt every root beneath his feet, every trembling wing overhead. I think I'm part of the woods now. The pact doesn't let go for free. A rumble shook the elder tree, and new shadows writhed in the hollow. The ancient council reformed, their voices sober. You have forged a new bargain, but outside the Iron Kingdoms will not accept peace so easily. The curse fades, but anger grows beyond our borders. Zephyra circled higher, her form flickering with nervous energy. Storms brewing, Corin. Word of this will reach the kings. They won't just send soldiers next time. They'll come with iron and fire to crush all they fear. Roan forced himself upright, determination back in his eyes. Then we must be ready. The realms are tied. If the Fae falls, so will the world of men. We have to show them another way, Corin. Corin looked from Roan to Zephyra, then down at the Willow Crown, now growing bright as sunlight. He sensed every life in Sylvania, flora, fauna, even the frightened soldiers outside. The curse was not gone, only held in check. To finish what he started, Corin would have to face the Iron Kingdoms directly, risking everything not just for his mother or the forest, but for the two worlds themselves. He nodded, heart pounding. Help me get a message to the kingdom. Let them see what peace and true balance looks like. If I'm the new bond between us, I'll stand in that storm. The magic in the woods thickened as if holding its breath. Zephyra winked, spinning higher. Let's ride the wind, roots and all. The age of whispers is ending, Corin. Now comes the roar. With newfound resolve, the trio stepped from the protection of the elder tree, bound together by the new pact, and ready to face the storm building beyond the forest's edge. Word of the wild magic, and the failed assault in the woods, spread with terrifying speed. Across the borderlands, bells tolled, and panic blossomed in courts built of stone and iron. King Ulrich, harsh ruler of the neighboring realm, called forth his most feared ironmongers and war priests. Corin, Roan, and Zephyra watched from a high ridge as the king's army gathered, columns of men clad in blackened steel, bearing torches and war machines fueled by greed and hatred. Even Zephyra's wind tasted of metal. Roan spat into the bracken, jaw clenched. They mean to burn it all this time. Not just the trees, Corin. They'll erase the old magic before they'd accept peace. Corin forced back his fear. The willow crown was warm and heavy on his brow, filling him with voices, some trembling, some bold, but all waiting on his next move. We can't win with force, Corin said quietly. If the pact means anything, it must speak to them too. I have to go. Let them see I'm changed. That we're not just curses and poison and old ghosts. Roan bristled. You step before that king and he'll cut you down for show, boy. Zephyra zipped close, her usual sparkle dimmed. But it's the only way, Leaf Boy. Show him your root and wind, something new. And don't go alone. Corin turned. Come with me, then. We face them together. All of us. They approached the field at the edge of the forest where the army gathered, all eyes drawn to the glowing figure stepping from the woods. Birds fell silent. Clouds parted above Corin's head, the willow crown gleaming against his hair. A hush spread as the trio advanced. Zephyra lifted breezes into the air, swirling petals and motes of light. Roan strode at Corin's side, battered armor gleaming anew from the magic the woods had granted. The king himself rode forward, face shadowed beneath a great iron helm. King Ulrich's voice split the silence. So, you're the witch boy who turned my men to root and vine. Come to beg for mercy? Corin's new connection to the woods trembled as he struggled to stay calm. Not to beg. To end this fear, you threaten what you don't understand. Let me show you. Let the woods speak for themselves. The king sneered, yet could not hide his wariness. If you can change the nature of a king, boy, then the world truly is reborn. I offer you this. Surrender the woods, or watch my fire sweep them away. Roan's grip on his sword tightened, but Corin raised a hand, stepping forward alone. Strike me if you must. But look, see what the willow crown has made. I am man and woodland both. My fate and yours are twined. Take me and the balance will shatter. Your world will wither. The ground trembled as roots and grass curled gently around Corin's feet, the elder tree's blessing evident to all. The nearby soldiers faltered, uncertain. Even King Ulrich hesitated, the promise of an ancient doom shimmering in the air. Zephyra rode the winds above the king, her true voice rising, echoing through the hearts of mortals and fae alike. There is another path. Let hope take root, or reap the wrath of an earth denied. For a moment, history held its breath. All peace and all hope rested on the edge of a blade. But whether the king's pride or Corin's courage would rule the outcome, that choice was yet to be made. And in that hush, the whispers that began in the willows grew into a storm, one that would either heal or sunder the world forever. Corin stood alone at the center of the field, feeling the wild rhythm of the willow crown thrum with the heartbeat of all Sylvania. The gathered army shifted restlessly, awed and unnerved by the magic that still flickered in the air. Roan's presence at his back was a silent vow of loyalty. Zephyra, glowing as bright as ever, hovered above, weaving hope on the wind. King Ulrich dismounted, iron boots sinking into the soft loam. His eyes blazed with pride and fear. If you think I'll surrender to trickery and green lore, you're mistaken. My kingdom is built on iron and fire. That will not change. Corin raised his hands, not in surrender, but so the king would see the veins of magic running through his skin. No walls of iron can hold back the world's hunger. The curse is lifting, but more pain will follow if we break the pact again. Let me show you, not with riddles but with truth. Zephyra whispered, her voice in Corin's ear and all around them. Gamble with your truest cards, Leaf Boy. Show him the heart that changed your fate. Corin knelt and pressed his palm to the soil. Instantly, visions unfurled before the king and his men. The cost of their greed. Rivers choked, children made sick, the land barren. And the potential for peace, orchards thriving, fields returned, the world renewed by balance rather than domination. The army watched, trembling. Roan stepped forward, battered yet proud, addressing the men. Once I fought only for myself and lost everything, but I've seen true courage here, in this strange boy in this living wood. What we fight, we could instead protect. King Ulrich wavered, his voice thin but desperate. And my people? What will they eat when the roots swallow our farms as your curses once did? Corin stood. If you accept the pact, the woods will share their bounty. Fae and mortal both must tend the land, not take until it's dead. The curse is born of fear and theft, but together we can heal. A hush, then a soldier in the ranks dropped his spear. Another stepped back from the king's shadow. The Willow Crown glowed brighter. Corin felt the forest's power surging, beckoning the world to listen. Roan stepped beside Corin, sword lowered in peace. You can be the king who broke the chain, Ulrich, not its last link. Ulrich looked between Corin, Roan, and Zephyra, then at his uneasy men, at the life thrumming beneath his feet. With a ragged breath, he lowered his head. Very well, we will try your peace, but know this, should you betray us, none of your roots will keep you from my wrath. Corin nodded, his burden lighter yet transformed. We hold each other now, that's the only way forward. Zephyra spun, laughter ringing at last. The wind carries a new tale. Look, Leaf Boy, you've cracked even the coldest iron. The roots retreated, the field blossomed with green. The Fae stepped from the woods, embracing mortals with cautious wonder. The dawn broke brighter than it had in years. Corin looked out over friend, stranger, and spirit alike, changed by courage, united by hope. The whispers of the Willow Crown were now a chorus, promising not just survival, but a new life for both realms, if they could keep the balance that sprung from one small, impossible act of faith. And in that new world, the boy who dared the Forbidden Grove was no longer the underdog. He was the bond, the healer, the story itself.